If you are over 60 and walking is your go-to morning exercise, I want to take just a moment before you lace up your shoes. Not to talk you out of moving, movement is essential at every stage of life, and that will never change. But the science is now pointing very clearly in a new direction, and you deserve to know what it says. Walking has always felt like the safe, sensible thing to do. Most of us have heard that advice our entire lives, from our doctors, from our families, from every health recommendation we have ever come across. But what if that advice, as well-intentioned as it is, has been quietly holding you back from something far more powerful? What if there are 4 specific morning exercises that take significantly less of your time, produce dramatically better results, and are designed precisely for what your body needs after 60? Because that is exactly what the research is now telling us. And by the time you finish this, you will understand not just what those 4 exercises are, you will know exactly why they work better, how to perform each one correctly, and how to build on them progressively so that every single morning you spend becomes an investment that pays you back in strength, independence, and years of better living. I'm Dr. William Lee. I've spent years working closely with patients over 60 who were doing everything they had been told, walking regularly, staying active, being consistent, and still slowly losing ground, still getting weaker over time, still dealing with persistent joint pain, still worrying about balance and the risk of a fall. When I reviewed a landmark study from Copenhagen that followed 8,000 adults over the age of 60 for 5 full years, the findings genuinely changed how I think about what I recommend. Adults who replaced their traditional walking routines with targeted exercises reduced their fall risk by 73%. They increased their overall strength by an extraordinary 89%, and they accomplished all of this while spending 40% less time exercising than the walking group. Blood pressure improvements were 31% better. Joint pain decreased by 67%, compared to just 12% in those who continued walking. Bone density didn't simply hold steady, it actually increased. The research team found these findings so significant that they ran the study a second time, just to confirm what they were seeing. These are not minor differences. This is a fundamentally different outcome for your health and your independence. Before I walk you through all 4 exercises with the exact technique that produces those results, let me explain something fundamental: why these movements outperform your morning walk in ways that truly matter to your daily life. Walking trains your body to move in a single, predictable direction, forward, in a straight line, at a repetitive and consistent pace. It has genuine cardiovascular value, and it is certainly better than sitting still. But after 60, your body's most pressing physical needs go well beyond what that single movement pattern can address. Think about what your body actually needs to do every single day. Getting up from a chair without struggling, catching yourself before a fall, climbing a flight of stairs with confidence, reaching across your body while standing steady, navigating an uneven surface without hesitation. Each of these requires strength, balance, and multi-directional coordination working together at the same time. Walking doesn't build those abilities with enough intensity to fight the natural physical changes that come with age. These 4 morning exercises do, and the difference in outcomes isn't subtle. It is measurable, significant, and in many cases, genuinely life-changing. If this is already resonating with you, go ahead and hit like on this video right now. It helps this information reach more people over 60 who truly need to hear it. The first exercise is seated leg lifts with resistance. I understand that sitting down doesn't immediately suggest a serious morning workout, but stay with me, because the research behind this one is genuinely compelling. A 2024 study published in the Archives of Physical Medicine found that adults over 60 who performed seated leg lifts with resistance improved their walking speed by 28% and their stair climbing ability by 45%. Walking speed, by the way, is what we in medicine call the sixth vital sign, one of the most reliable predictors of overall health and longevity we have available to us. The faster and more steadily you walk, the better your underlying health picture tends to be. And this particular exercise directly and measurably improves that number. Here is why this exercise is so important for your morning routine specifically. Your hip flexors and quadriceps are the primary engines behind every step you take, every time you push yourself up from a chair, and every time you climb a flight of stairs. After age 60, we lose muscle mass at a rate that genuinely requires deliberate resistance training to reverse. Traditional walking does not challenge these specific muscle groups with enough intensity to address that loss. Seated leg lifts do, and they are fully adjustable from the very first session based on exactly where you are today. To do this correctly, sit in a sturdy chair with your back straight and both feet flat on the floor. Slowly lift your right leg forward, keeping your knee as straight as is comfortable and aiming to bring it parallel to the floor. Hold at the top for 2 full seconds, then lower slowly, without letting your foot touch the floor before the next repetition. That constant tension throughout the entire movement is precisely what drives the results. The most important technical detail is keeping your back pressed firmly against the chair throughout the entire set. This ensures the right muscles are doing the work and protects your lower back from unnecessary strain. Perform 10 to 15 repetitions on one side, then switch to the other. What makes this exercise especially effective over time is a principle called unilateral training, working each leg completely independently. This forces both sides of your body to correct their own imbalances rather than allowing the stronger side to compensate for the weaker. These imbalances develop naturally as we age and are one of the quiet, hidden reasons people gradually lose confidence in their movement. As your strength builds, add ankle weights starting at just 1 or 2 pounds, or loop a light resistance band around your ankles for additional challenge. The research is unambiguous on this point. Muscles and bones respond to progressive challenges at any age. Older adults, in fact, often show more dramatic percentage gains from resistance training than younger people, simply because there is more capacity to recover and rebuild. This is genuinely good news for anyone starting from where they are today. The second morning exercise is standing heel raises with a balance challenge. This one looks almost too simple the first time you see it, but the data behind it is some of the most compelling I have come across on this topic. A landmark study from the National Institute on Aging found that calf strength was the single best predictor of whether someone over 60 would maintain their independence over the following decade. Adults with strong calves were 71% less likely to require assisted living and experienced 64% fewer fall-related injuries. Those are not small margins. They represent the line between living life on your own terms and depending on others for the most basic daily tasks. The reason your calves matter so profoundly is something most people never think about. Your calf muscles function as your body's peripheral heart. Every time they contract and release, they actively pump blood from your legs back up toward your heart and brain. Weak calves mean sluggish circulation, increased swelling in the lower legs, and a higher risk of blood clots. They also mean your body works harder to deliver oxygen and nutrients to your organs efficiently. This is not a peripheral concern. It shapes how your entire body functions from the moment you rise in the morning until the moment you rest at night. Strengthening your calves is one of the highest return investments you can make in your daily health routine. To perform this correctly, stand behind a chair and rest your fingertips lightly on the back for support if needed. Rise up onto your toes as high as you can, pressing firmly through the balls of your feet. Here is where the balance challenge enters. At the very top of that movement, hold for 3 full seconds while looking straight ahead, not down at the floor. That hold activates your vestibular system, which is the inner ear balance mechanism that is one of the first systems to deteriorate with age. Then lower yourself slowly, taking a full 3 seconds to descend. That controlled lowering phase is actually where the majority of the strength building occurs. Start with 10 repetitions and work progressively toward 25. Do not move past this point without hearing what the research shows about progression, because the results are truly remarkable. Research from Japan's Longevity Research Center found that adults over 60 who could perform 20 single-leg heel raises had biological age markers equivalent to people 15 years younger. Their arterial flexibility was 43% better than peers who could not perform the movement. Participants also showed a 26% improvement in cognitive test scores after just 12 weeks, a result researchers attributed directly to improved blood flow reaching the brain. Once you can complete 25 full repetitions with good form while barely touching the chair, progress to single-leg heel raises and watch your results accelerate significantly. There is also a very practical reason this exercise protects you from falls that I want you to understand clearly. When you trip, your body's automatic first response is to push off powerfully through your toes to catch yourself and restore balance. Without sufficient calf strength, you simply cannot generate enough force to stop that fall from completing. The balance challenge component simultaneously builds new neural pathways that allow your brain and muscles to communicate faster and more accurately, and that speed of communication shows up as better coordination in everything you do throughout your day. For best results, vary your tempo during the week. On 2 days, move slowly with the full 3-second hold at the top and the controlled lowering phase. On 1 day, move at a slightly quicker pace while still maintaining complete control. That variation prevents your body from adapting and plateauing. We have now covered 2 of the 4 exercises, and the picture of what your morning routine can become is starting to come into focus. Comment below and tell me, which of these exercises are you most eager to try first? I read every comment, and knowing where people are starting genuinely helps me create the most useful content for you. The third exercise is modified squats to a chair. Before you raise any concern about your knees, let me address that directly. It is the most common thing I hear from patients. A 2024 meta-analysis reviewing 42 separate studies involving over 15,000 participants found that modified chair squats were not only safe for people with existing knee pain, they actually reduced knee pain by 58% when performed correctly. The word correctly is doing important work in that sentence, and I am going to make sure you have everything you need to do this right. This is arguably the most functionally critical movement you can train after 60, because the sit-to-stand pattern is something you perform dozens of times every single day without thinking about it. And it is consistently one of the first physical abilities people lose as they age. Research shows that adults who cannot perform a sit-to-stand movement without pushing themselves up with their arms have a mortality rate 3 times higher over the following 5 years. I don't share that to alarm you. I share it because it tells you exactly how foundational this morning exercise is to your health and your independence. To perform this correctly, stand in front of a sturdy chair with your feet roughly hip-width apart and your toes angled slightly outward. That foot position matters because it aligns with your natural hip anatomy and meaningfully reduces stress on your knees. Cross your arms over your chest or extend them forward for balance. Before you lower yourself, initiate the movement by pushing your hips back first, as though you are trying to close a car door with your backside. That hip hinge is essential because it loads your powerful glute muscles rather than driving all the force directly through your knee joints. Lower yourself slowly, taking about 3 seconds to descend. Lightly touch the chair with your seat, but do not sit fully and do not let your muscles relax. Maintaining tension throughout the entire movement is precisely where the strength gains are made. Then push through your heels, squeeze your glutes, and rise back up over 2 seconds. Begin with 5 to 8 repetitions and gradually work toward 15 to 20. The Stanford Longevity Center studied adults over 60 who performed chair squats 3 times a week for just 6 weeks. Lower body power increased by 47%. I want to draw an important distinction between power and raw strength here because it matters clinically. Power combines strength with the speed of movement, and it is actually more predictive of fall prevention and independence than strength alone. Walking speed improved to the precise clinical threshold that in medicine separates independent from dependent living. And perhaps most remarkably, functional MRI scans showed increased activation in the motor cortex, the brain region responsible for controlling movement. The exercise was literally reorganizing how participants' brains manage their movement patterns, improving the connection between what the brain intends and what the body executes. Don't skip the progression piece because it is the detail that shapes your long-term outcome. As your strength improves over the coming weeks, gradually lower your target surface. Move from your regular chair to a slightly lower ottoman or coffee table. The lower the surface, the greater the range of motion, and the harder your muscles must work. Each step of that progression is a real measurable improvement in your physical capability and your freedom to live on your own terms. And now we arrive at the exercise that, in my view, is the single most important movement any person over 60 can include in their morning routine. This is the bird dog hold progression. I want to give this one the time it deserves because the science is genuinely extraordinary. Harvard longevity research found that this exercise increased lifespan markers by 42%. A 2024 study published in the Journal of Gerontology described it as the most effective single exercise for healthy aging. A Mayo Clinic study that followed 500 adults over 60 for 2 full years produced these findings. Core strength increased by 93%, lower back pain decreased by 76%, fall risk dropped by 82%, and bone density in the spine and hips increased by 3.2%. To put that last number in perspective, most people over 60 lose approximately 1% of bone density each year. That 3.2% increase represents what is effectively a 4-year reversal of normal aging in people who were already experiencing that decline. Here is what makes the bird dog uniquely powerful. The exercise requires you to balance on one arm and the opposite leg simultaneously while maintaining a completely neutral spine. This diagonal pattern mirrors exactly how your body functions when you walk, when you reach across your body, or when you perform any real-world physical activity. But the neurological activity happening while you hold that position is what truly separates this movement from everything else. Your brain must actively coordinate between its left and right hemispheres simultaneously to maintain both balance and position. This bilateral brain activation has been shown to improve cognitive function and memory, and research from the Cleveland Clinic found it reduces dementia risk by 31%. To perform the basic version, get on your hands and knees on a comfortable surface. A yoga mat or carpeted floor works perfectly. Place your hands directly under your shoulders and your knees directly under your hips. Keep your spine neutral throughout, not arched upward, not rounded downward. Slowly extend your right arm straight forward while simultaneously extending your left leg straight back. Your goal is one clean, straight line from your fingertips to your toes. Hold for 5 seconds, focusing entirely on keeping your hips level and your body completely still. Then lower slowly and repeat on the opposite side. The progression system is what transforms this from a good exercise into an exceptional one. In weeks 1 and 2, hold for 5 seconds per side and complete 5 repetitions. In weeks 3 and 4, extend the hold to 10 seconds. In weeks 5 and 6, add a subtle pulse. While holding the extended position, lift your arm and leg 1 inch higher, return to parallel, and repeat that small pulse throughout the hold. This activates additional muscle fibers and challenges your stability in a completely new dimension. By weeks 7 and 8, try closing your eyes during the hold. Removing visual input forces your proprioceptive system, your body's internal sense of where it is in space, to work significantly harder. This is precisely where the deepest gains in balance and coordination occur. The mechanism driving all of these results is called mechanotransduction. When you hold the bird dog position, specific mechanical forces are created simultaneously across your bones, muscles, and connective tissue. These forces trigger cellular signals that instruct your body to rebuild those tissues stronger and more resilient. A German study using advanced brain imaging found that the bird dog activates more diverse brain regions at once than any other single exercise the researchers tested. Areas governing balance, spatial awareness, coordination, and executive function all activating together. After just 8 weeks, participants showed measurable increases in brain volume in those regions, not a slowing of brain tissue loss, actual growth of new brain tissue at an age when most people expect only decline. There is an advanced technique I want you to add once you are comfortable with the basic form. While holding the bird dog position, actively push your extended hand forward and press your extended foot backward at the same time, as though you are trying to make your body as long as possible. Exercise scientists call this irradiation. The tension radiates through your entire body, recruiting more muscle fibers and building stronger neural connections between your brain and your muscles. Studies show this technique increases strength gains by up to 40% compared to holding the same position passively. Your breathing during the hold also matters more than most people realize. Take slow, deep breaths through your nose and allow your ribcage to expand naturally. Holding your breath during a challenging hold actually reduces its effectiveness and can spike your blood pressure. Controlled breathing during the bird dog has been shown to improve respiratory function by 22% in older adults. If you want this kind of evidence-based, practical guidance built specifically for your health after 60, subscribe to this channel. I share this type of content regularly, and I want you to have access to everything that comes next. When you look at all 4 of these morning exercises together, the total time commitment is approximately 20 to 25 minutes, 3 to 4 times per week. The Copenhagen study found that participants in the targeted exercise group averaged just 75 minutes of exercise per week, compared to 180 minutes for the walking group. Yet every single health marker, strength, balance, blood pressure, joint pain, bone density, was superior in the targeted group. Less time invested, better results achieved, more independence was maintained. I want to close with something I tell every patient I work with. Start exactly where you are today. If you need to do fewer repetitions, do fewer. If you need to stay closer to the chair, that is the right place to start. If the bird dog needs modification in week 1, modify it and build from there with patience and consistency. Your body will adapt faster than you expect. The research consistently shows significant measurable improvements in adults well into their 90s. Your capacity to grow stronger, more balanced, and more resilient does not have an expiration date. It never has. It simply needs the right stimulus, a challenge that meets you where you are and grows with you over time. These 4 morning exercises give you exactly that. You now have the knowledge, the technique, and the progressive plan to begin. And that is where every meaningful change in health starts, not with a perfect starting point, but with a clear decision to begin tomorrow morning with purpose and a plan that actually works.